This is page 57 of your math journal. We're going to give this one the title of rates. We already talked about unit rates. Well, rates are just a unit rates are a specific kind of rate. So let's first write down the definition of rate. Okay, a rate is a ratio comparing two quantities of different unit measurements. We use these all the time. Sometimes so here are some examples. $5 for 3 candy bars. Notice here, one unit is dollars, the other unit is candy bars. We're not saying $5 for $3, that would be the same unit, but these are two different units. Another example, 10 miles in 5 minutes. Here we're comparing time with distance. Those are two different measurements. Okay, and now the one we talked about yesterday is a unit rate. And a unit rate is a rate with a denominator of 1. So, what it means is how much of a unit, so how much of one of a unit for exactly one of another. Okay, examples here. So up here we had $5 for 3 candy bars. If I take $5 and divide it by 3, that would be $1.66 for 1 candy bar. Now notice here it's for 1. Up here it was $5 for 3. Well, this is the unit rate, so for 1 unit, 1 candy bar, it costs $1.66. Okay, 10 miles in 5 minutes, the unit rate for that would be 2 miles in 1 minute. Once again, how many of one unit for exactly one of another? So what we're going to practice doing is we're going to take rates that are given to us and we're going to simplify them to unit rates. So here an example. Let's say, let's skip one line and I want you to write this example. It costs $42 for 7 tickets. So this rate is $42 for 7 tickets. Or if I were to write this as a ratio fraction, it would be 42 over 7. So in my unit rate, well, my greatest common factor of 42 and 7 is 7. So if I divide them both by 7, okay, that's our GCF there. then what that gives me is that it costs $6 for every 1 ticket I buy. That would be the simplified ratio, but in this case, it'd be the unit rate as well because it has a denominator of 1. So the unit rate would be $6 for 1 ticket. Okay, skip a line, let's do another example. Okay, let's say a dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. How far can you travel in 1? So my rate was 18 miles in 30 minutes. Okay, if I write that as a fraction, I would be 18 over 30. Now, what's my greatest common factor between 18 and 30? Okay, I'm going to factor out 6. So simplify it by a factor of 6. And that leaves me with 3/5. Well, what does that mean? Well, the top was miles, and the bottom was minutes. So that would be the same as 3 miles every 5 minutes. So these are both just rates. Now if I want the unit rate, I need to have 1 for a denominator. Okay, this is where I'm going to have to divide 3 by 5. Well, if you can already see it, if it can go 3 miles in 5 minutes, that's the same as 3/5 of a mile. Or 0.6 if you were to do the division and get a decimal, every 1 minute. That would be your unit rate, because now I have a denominator of 1. For 1 minute, this is how far I can travel. Okay, let's try one more. Skip a line. Let's do Sarah can eat 45 jelly beans in 30 seconds. Okay, my rate is 45, my unit is jelly beans. Every 30 seconds. So if I want to reduce this, 45 and 30 share what in common? I know 5 will go into, I know 15 will go into both of them. So my greatest common factor is 15. So if I divide by 15, then that gives me 3/2. That's my reduced ratio here. So I can simplify that to say she can do 3 jelly beans every 2 seconds. But if I want to get it down to a second, she's got to be swallowing these jelly beans whole. It's kind of funny. Okay, so if I want it for a unit rate, I want it for every 1 second. How many jelly beans she can eat. Okay, I simplified these to the nearest whole numbers that I could. But if I want to divide, this means if I want for 1 second, I've got to take 3 and divide it by 2 to figure that out. So 3 divided by 2 would be 1 1/2, or 3 halves, right? 3 halves, or 1 1/2 jelly beans for 1 second. Decimal form, that'd be 1.5. So now you understand the difference between a rate, which is just comparing two different units, and what a unit rate is. It means for one of this other unit.